Hello, ladies and gentlemen, scumbags and all. This is not Mandalorian Scum. This is the Mandalorian Preamble, and I am Rob McDonald, aka Darth Ward. And what the heck is a Mandalorian Preamble? Well, it's a new show. I'm just going to be previewing the next episode of The Mandalorian, building up to Mandalorian Scum coming up this Friday again, where we talk about Episode 5, Chapter 5 of The Mandalorian. I'm extremely excited. I can't wait to do this. But before we get into everything and this whole preview and getting your reactions, your actual comments for on the last episode from our YouTube channel from the Mandalorian Scum video, I got to get a little business out of the way because, unfortunately, Darth Ward is not 100% right now. I should say, a very similar device that what Master Yoda himself uses right now. That's right, I got a cane because unfortunately, just a couple days ago, I fell down the stairs, slipped down some ice because we're here in Canada and winter is here. It's not coming anymore, it's here. And I was not careful enough and got a sprained ankle. Yeah, so regardless of that, guys, sprained ankle is not going to keep me out. I'm still here to do the Mandalorian Preamble, and I will be here for the Mandalorian Scum on Friday. So, it's great. I'm glad that you guys are able to join me for this. A little bit of a preview of Chapter 5 of The Mandalorian. How are we previewing this? What happened in last week's episode? It ended with them getting the child back, finding out that these bounty hunters are still after them. So now, presumably, the Mandalorian and the child are leaving the planet to go somewhere else. I mean, what do I expect from this next episode? Giancarlo Esposito has not yet come in. We heard that he's going to be a strong player in this series. So I wonder if it's next week is going to be the episode in which he comes back. I mean, if I actually brought up IMDb just to have a look at what they have over here, and they actually have a very short synopsis. I don't know if this is public knowledge and everything else, or maybe this is just IMDb not completely correct. I'm trying to stay away from spoilers as best as I can because I love this show, and I really don't want to be spoiled about anything. So what IMDb has for The Mandalorian on their mini synopsis is it has The Mandalorian helps a rookie bounty hunter who is in over his head. So, who's the rookie bounty hunter going to be? I mean, based off that synopsis, that does not sound like Giancarlo Esposito is going to be there unless this rookie bounty hunter being in over his head has something to do with Giancarlo Esposito's character. I mean, who knows exactly, but I guess we're getting that kind of like another semi-standalone episode, so sort of like how Chapter 4 was kind of a standalone episode. Not so much, because obviously we introduced Cara Dune, and she's going to be an important player, I think, on this show. So, it's not so much non-important, it's just from the sounds of this synopsis, it doesn't sound like we are going to be getting back to a bigger story as opposed to, more bounty hunters tracking him down, Werner Herzog tracking him down, Dr. Pershing tracking him down. It doesn't sound like we're going to get that, but who knows? Maybe we'll be wrong, and maybe IMDb is wrong. But one of the things that I don't even have to really look at IMDb for to know about this, even though it has just confirmed it for me, we're getting Dave Filoni back in the director's chair for this episode, right? He directed the pilot of The Mandalorian. He's back again. And I can't wait because I really love the pilot. I enjoyed the pilot quite a bit. And I can't wait to see him back directing live action Star Wars yet again. So what else can I expect from this upcoming episode? I mean, maybe Cara Dune will be back. Maybe IG-11 will be back. I don't think IG-11 is going to be back. I'm assuming that if he makes a return at all, it'll be in the Taika Waititi episode that he's directing, which is episode 8, the season finale. So, that's what we got so far. I mean, the number one thing that we can expect is that Mandalorian will still be probably the main character in this entire series. I will get a lot of the child. I wonder if we'll get more flashbacks because they're trending right now. The way they did flashbacks was in episode 1 and episode 3. So if they go by that trend, maybe in episode 5, chapter 5, we will get another flashback, more hints as to the Mandalorian's backstory. But who knows there? I'm down for almost whatever they throw at me at this point. But the thing that I most want to hear about this episode of the Mandalorian Preamble is I want to hear from you guys, and I've hyped it up that you guys are going to be able to supply your comments, your thoughts about these episodes, and I want to do that now. So I'll give me a moment here as I bring up, and right here to the left of me, to the right of you on the screen, we are about to see some of your comments. Look at that, right there from the from our YouTube channel. Those are your comments, and we're about to go through them all. So hang on a moment, and let's pull this up. So the very first comment that we had was from Heidi Fedor. She said, "Sorry guys, I am tired. Probably not going to make it tonight." I mean, don't we all feel that way sometimes? Like, just feeling overwhelmed, feeling tired sometimes, and, just can't do it all. We more than anything, Heidi, appreciate you as a fan, as a supporter of the channel, and we know that you'll get more involved in discussion going forward, and you have, in fact. So, this upcoming episode, comment when we do Mandalorian Scum on for chapter 5 on this Friday. Comment below at the bottom of the episode. I want to hear what you got to think about this show so far, and what you think about the episode. Just your thoughts in general, Heidi. We want to hear that from you. So below that, obviously, the Rebel Scum reacted me neither. Yeah, it's James is a very busy guy as well, so he's gonna be it's gonna be busy times going throughout the Christmas season, especially building up to Rise of Skywalker. We got so much content coming up, so it's gonna be pretty crazy, and it's gonna be pretty awesome. And I can't wait for the Rise of Skywalker either. But we're not here to talk about the Rise of Skywalker. We're here to talk about the Mandalorian. So let's move on to this next comment here. We have Hawks Holocrons. Oop, hang on, I went a little bit too high there. 1 second. Hawks Holocrons. James has never looked better, if I'm being 100%, I don't know if that's supposed to be 100% honest at the end there, but more or less, I think we know what you're getting at there, Hawks Holocrons, for that episode 4 review. Had James on again, except it could only be his phone number, and we actually had him just with a picture over there. And yeah, I think it's a pretty awesome picture. James enjoying his new toy, his new Star Wars toy, which is pretty awesome. And as you can see there, James replied for the Rebel Scum podcast channel, laughing and whatnot. And, it's a good joke, Hawks Holocrons. I enjoyed that quite a bit as well. But Barry Brophy actually responded to that as well, as what was that visor thing from? Which, as in that picture, you can see that he's wearing a visor and he's holding Luke's lightsaber. I don't know, it's kind of been referred to as Rey's lightsaber now. But here, I can actually show you guys right now what that's actually from. Just give me a moment here. Bear with me for a moment. So I made the reference to it. I have one of these copies on my own. I have not tried it yet. It is from right there, the Star Wars Jedi Challenges game. It's kind of a VR game. It's got, as you can see, the visor right there, and it comes with the lightsaber as well right there. And so it's a very cool VR game. I've not got a chance to play it, but I was already impressed by when I open it up and see the actual lightsaber that's in here. And I can open it up real quick for you guys, just to get you guys to have a look. There it is. The impressive looking lightsaber. I found it worth it just to see this thing, because it actually looks like it's full size, extremely shiny. It's very cool. I mean, it has the nub over there, because obviously you need to be able to play with it. But yeah, I think it's very cool. And the visor thing is actually, of course, the actual VR system, which I'm not going to get this out here. But regardless, if you wanted to look back at that picture, yeah, I can't really take that out right now, but if you want to look back at that picture, that is what he's wearing. He's James is very excited to be playing this Jedi Challenges game now. I will be very excited, I'm sure, when I first try it. And I just need to be able to go ahead and do it. But as of right now, I don't think it would be smart to be trying a VR game when I'm in my condition with my sprained ankle, because that's just asking for my injury to get worse. So it'll happen as soon as I heal, and I'll finally try this thing out. And it'll be a really cool blast, I'm sure. So, hearing on, let's keep moving down here. Keep moving here. Okay. Oh, and we got a longer question here. Hang on, let me open it up, expand it a little bit more. It is from Dale Erdman. I hope I'm saying that correctly, Dale. Based on the fact most droids have life form sensors, I think the fobs have some attachment to DNA. If most Force-sensitive children were recorded in the holocrons in the Jedi library, they would have some information on them, where they were likely to be born, family, species, ancestors, etc. Then Dr. Pershing or one of the other preceding doctors would have possibly got the early DNA information, but maybe not. The last four digits, I think he's trying to say, gives the birth date of the child and possibly a little more info. In my theorization, the last four digits of the chain code are connected somehow to the DNA. Since this is a rare child, the fobs can be set to that chain code alone, and they would identify the child as this species, and the target or asset would nominally be correct. The chain codes have to be more than the birth date, otherwise the fob would pick up a signal on any born that day and time. That's very interesting. This was one of the things James and I were extremely curious about as to how these whole fobs work and whatnot. And you bring up like a very strong point as to how they would be track it down. And I think below here, James with the Rebel Scum thing brings up what I was kind of thinking as well. It's like, that makes sense, but what about the chain codes and fobs for regular creatures, right? So, because we knew that the first creature in which the Mandalorian tracks down in that bar, Horatio Sands, he was tracked down with the fob as well. So, and Dale Erdman even has an answer for that. He says that's pretty simple. They're criminals, so they've been caught before. Easy peasy DNA collection in the booking process. In real life, we have hospitals that take footprints of the baby's feet when they're born. They do blood tests, DNA collection. Dale, you got such insight into this whole this whole idea of what it is. Are you sure that you're not a writer on The Mandalorian, buddy? Like, honestly, if you have anything to do with this, I would very much like to talk to you, buddy, because I want to know every single thing about this. You put a lot of thought into this, man, and I think it's a very strong possibility that you're right for the most part. I mean, knowing that Dr. Pershing is connected to Camino, and that he could have, if in fact the Yoda baby or the child or whatever you want to call it is a clone of Yoda, that's where they could have in fact targeted him or whatnot, right? Like marked him in some type of way with this fob. So it's very cool thought process that you put into this, because it's very awesome to me. So James, even with the Rebel Scum thing, says, well, now you're bringing the real world into this. LOL, all good puts I clearly never thought of. Same with me. I mean, we talked about it and we never quite got into that regard. I think I mentioned that maybe they implanted it inside of the baby Yoda, because we knew that it was connected to Camino. So it's very cool thoughts that you brought into all this. And Barry Brophy even here responds again, part of guild membership may also entail knowing you can be tracked. How they do that is up for debate. That's interesting as well, though, because if you're a guild member and you know how to be tracked, then in some ways they could also be tracking the Mandalorian then, perhaps in some type of way. Maybe there's a fob out there that can track him. So if that's the case, and the Mandalorian had this big plan, how he's like, oh, I'm going to leave the child on this planet. I'm gonna I'm going to leave the child there, and nobody will be able to find him. If they had a fob that could track down the Mandalorian himself, then they could still track him down, and he could just become a extremely wanted man himself, or a wanted Mandalorian. So, yeah, that's very cool. Very interesting. I'm very curious how to have a more concrete answer as to how these fobs exactly work, because it's still like, even though we're bringing on these very well thought out responses as to why how this stuff works, it'd be nice to know exactly how it does work, and if maybe that's something that we find out in a visual dictionary or something like that for the Mandalorian when that comes out. But either way, let's keep moving on here. We do have quite a few comments in general. Okay, so here we go. I'm gonna Maurik Nathan. I'm not gonna say that second part of your name, Maurik. I just have a feeling I would butcher it completely. But regardless, let's get into what you say here. The installment, as in Chapter 4, had the feel of an episode of Hercules starring Kevin Sorbo or Xena Warrior Princess. Just me? I mean, I see the comparisons, like, and you say, or what they had crossover episodes. So, I mean, Kevin Sorbo's Hercules and Xena Warrior Princess, one of those episodes in which they teamed up. I mean, I could definitely see that. Like, they had like some type of samurai-ish episodes that they both had. So yeah, I could very much see that comparison. And then Rebel Scum Podcast James replied, it did have a Sci-Fi Channel vibe. And then Barry Brophy again said, I had Stargate SG-1 vibes. I never watched Stargate SG-1. The only Stargate that I ever watched, I believe, is the 90s movie. I believe that's correct. And that was when I was a kid. So yeah, I'm not as familiar with Stargate, so I can't fully comment as to those comparisons. But I could definitely see Morik's thoughts, how it connects to Hercules and Xena Warrior Princess. Yeah, I could very much see that. Stargate SG-1. Yeah, that's not something I can really comment on. But I'm sure you're not completely wrong, because you're doing some very great comments as well, Barry Brophy. I'm enjoying reading your stuff here. As we move on for a little bit lower, we got Red Wolf over here. Rob's face at the beginning, laughing. Yeah, you know what? I didn't. If you watched the beginning of that episode, I pressed record and I didn't look right at the camera, and it was like just the slight second of which you could see me. It's like kind of like Anchorman, The Legend of Ron Burgundy, a little bit sometimes when he realizes that he's on television or not on television. But regardless, yeah, it was. James replies there, one of a kind as well. So, yeah, there you go. There you response as well. Red Wolf, haha, he looked so surprised like a news anchor realizing too late that they were actually on TV. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's you're definitely right about that that comparison. Yeah, it was. I hope I didn't have that same look here, or if I did, then you know what, have some more laughs, guys. We're here to entertain you guys, and you know what? I can take it. It just happens from time to time, and with those types of looks, because yeah, just my setup here is a little bit different than what James and Brock have a little bit. So, and me doing this all by myself, just those types of looks will very likely happen again. Maybe on this week's episode of Mandalorian Scum, maybe next week's Preamble. Maybe it happened today and I didn't realize it yet. So yeah, that's very cool. Comparison there. So there he goes again. Oh, went down extremely quickly there. Rebel Scum Podcast. Yeah, haha, so true. And he hit the record button. Yeah, that's right, James. I did. Yeah. But oh my God, legendary. Red Wolf says again there. And yeah, there's Marshawn Donovan also pipey and funny. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm glad you guys are getting a kick out of it, right? Like, yeah, I'm gonna try to not do that, but you know, if I do, I know that you guys are at least having fun and enjoying my weird faces that I make sometimes, which I'm sure happens somewhat often. So, We're moving on here now further to Derek L., who said, I think the episode would have been more effective if that walker killed some people. This episode felt too Disney just all the way around. I liked it, but this was my least favorite episode by far, and if I'm honest, has me a little concerned. Just a little. I mean, it's a very clear point. Like, when I was comparing, something like Magnificent Seven to this episode, I mean, Magnificent Seven obviously, is comparable, but Magnificent Seven had much more of a death toll in that movie. In both, you can go back to the original Magnificent Seven, which I believe was in the 60s or the 50s. I can't remember what it was, or even the remake. Right, like, people died in that invasion. Yeah, I think you're right. They didn't show off a death toll really at all that much from those villagers in which that ATST took people out. So it's a very fair criticism. I mean, it's not like they should be afraid of killing a whole bunch of people, but how many people did they kill in episode 3, right? Like, there was a big death toll there, but not so much in this episode, I suppose. So yeah, it's a good point, and I think, yeah, you're right, that ATSD should have probably taken out a few more of those villagers than it did, because yeah, like, even with something like Return of the Jedi, when that Mama Ewok dies, like, did we all kind of like bawl a little bit when that one died? And I think, like, if they did something like that in this episode with these villagers, it could have been a great moment as well, and probably added to the weight of that final battle a little bit more. Now it just felt like that ATST was a little bumbling, a little bit dumb. But Barry Brophy also types in there, good observation. I felt it was a bit Caravan of Courage. Sure. I mean, I think it's a little blasphemous to compare Caravan of Courage to The Mandalorian, but that's me. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Mandalorian, and I love it. But, I'm sure there are plenty of people that love Caravan of Courage as well. And, maybe you're not exactly making the comparison where, in quality, just comparing some of those scenes of Caravan of Courage. I have not seen Caravan of Courage in a long time. Maybe it's time for me to rewatch that again someday soon. So, you know what, Barry? I think, if anything, you just put that onto my watch list to watch Caravan of Courage again, just to re-see that little movie, that lost movie, in which does not get talked about really all that much anymore. But regardless, good observation from you as well there, Brophy, I'm sure. And as soon as I rewatch Caravan of Courage, maybe I'll understand your comparisons a little bit more there. But shooting from the hip guy. Of course, just shooting from the hip again. Young Mando is saved from the battle droid by Boba Fett. Your thoughts? I mean, Boba Fett saving the Mandalorian in that flashback. That's what I think he's getting at there. I mean, it'll be interesting. I mean, if we know when that takes place roughly, if we're to expect that takes place either around the time of Revenge of the Sith, or maybe just before, during the Clone Wars. If then Boba Fett was to show up, he would be more akin to the Daniel Logan, I believe the actor's name is, version of Boba Fett that we saw in Attack of Clones, the young version that we also saw in the animated Clone Wars TV show. He'd be more akin to that more than the Boba Fett that we know. So it's certainly possible. It just wouldn't be that Boba Fett that we'd be all thinking of. I mean, but Boba Fett in general just showing up there, I mean, why not? I mean, the only thing that I'd be wondering about is the fact that, Boba Fett and Jango Fett obviously aren't true Mandalorians. So what would they be doing there? Like, because, I mean, perhaps the Mandalorian isn't a purebred Mandalorian, although we're to expect that. He is a foundling at the very least. So it's certainly possible. I just don't know why Boba Fett would be helping him at that point. But I guess that's just something that can be brought into play. And the relationship that he brought in, like, the whole time I've been speculating. I think that Commander Cody is in some way connected to the Mandalorian. But Boba Fett could also be a very fair comparison as well. I think I just really want Tamora Morrison to be this father figure, or this person connected to the Mandalorian. So I think that would be really cool for him to come back as acting. If Daniel Logan or that younger version of Boba Fett in general, um, uh, was the one that saved him, then we'd have a younger version of Boba Fett as well. And it'd be kind of cool if they were just both coming up at the same time, sort of as rivals a little bit. Um, could be awesome too. So, I mean, I can't say that it's unlikely. I think it's actually very possible that it could possibly be Boba Fett. Just the one thing that I think makes me think that maybe it's not going to be is that why would Boba Fett save this kid randomly, this Mandalorian kid? I just wonder what his investment in that would be. But it's certainly possible. And James, in fact, there also replies, I do like that idea. I mean, I like that idea too. I think it's very cool. And Barry Brophy again says, yes, thank you. Yeah, I guess he's very much liking that idea as well. So it's certainly very possible. Boba Fett saving the young Mandalorian. I think I could see him in my top 5 prospects as to who I think it could be. I mean, right now, I think as to who would have saved the Mandalorian, I like the Rex idea right now. Rex could be very possible. It could be Cody, but if it's taking place obviously around the time of Revenge of the Sith, then probably not. If it's taking place at Order 66, we already know where Commander Cody is during Order 66, right? Taking out Obi-Wan, right? So if this event is taking place during Order 66, I can't see it being Cody. I could see it being Rex. I could see him possibly even being Ahsoka Tano. So, I mean, very cool thought process over there. And here we go. We go off to the next one. Exogal Jim says that picture of James. He enjoys the picture as well. James is laughing. Yeah, it's a very hysterical picture. James is becoming a Jedi Challenges master, like how I said there. Yeah, and Barry Bruff again. I was trying to figure out if he was wearing a costume again. Yeah, it was brilliant of you guys, the Rebel Scum fans, that you guys actually convinced James to be wearing a costume for Halloween. I mean, it's tough to get him to do that, but when you can, it's rather hilarious and rather funny. So, yeah, it's I love you guys for that, where you just hold them accountable and being like, oh, you don't like costumes, James? Then we're gonna make you wear a costume. So, yeah, it was a little bit behind the scenes, a little bit. The other time that I got to see James wear a costume for Halloween was actually a few years ago. Let me think here. It would have been 2014, so actually 5 years ago now. Me and Aaron, his wife, convinced him and convinced us all to be going to this Halloween party, and we actually dressed up as the Guardians of the Galaxy. So it was just the 3 of us. So what we did was actually I used a puppet, Rocket Raccoon, like I was a hand puppet, and we had a tiny Groot, which we kind of like wanted to be kind of like baby Groot, and James was dressed up as Star-Lord, Aaron was dressed up as Gamora, and I was dressed up as Drax. So that's it was a very cool Halloween, because we got James to dress up, and he looked like a good Star-Lord, guys. Like, yeah, Chris Pratt might be a little jealous if he saw these pictures of James in this Star-Lord costume. It was a very fun Halloween that time, especially getting James to get dressed up again. So as we move down here, I think this might be the last one here. Barry Brophy, buddy, you've been commenting so much, and I love you for that. I want to hear your thoughts even more in depth as well, and I believe you actually go, we got read more here, so we got a whole lot more from Barry. All right, let's give you the table, buddy. Barry Brophy, agree with James on the episode, not as intense as the previous 3 episodes, but a well-told story. It was definitely more of a character setup for Cara Dune. I enjoyed the Return of the Jedi callbacks with the scenery, indigenous people, aliens, and battle tactics. I imagine Filoni, Favreau, Dallas Howard. Dallas Howard. There we go. I thought I saw a comma there. I was like, what? So hang on, let me read that again. Last part again. I enjoyed the Return of the Jedi callbacks with the scenery, indigenous people, aliens, and battle tactics. I imagine Filoni, Favreau, Dallas Howard sitting together and, excuse me, I just knocked my mic, sitting together and having that discussion of if our Return of the Jedi was made for a 30-minute episode. How would you make it believable? Simple, well told story. I'm thinking we'll get to. I'm thinking we'll get to of three. Okay, I'll read that part again here. I'm thinking we'll get to 3 more similar stories with new characters to set them up for the season finale. Probably battle with Moff Gideon. That is Giancarlo Esposito's character. Yep, I liked the ending. They had me believing Baby Yoda was going to be left there. Yeah, that's very cool that they actually had you thinking that it might do it. I mean, the thing that the ending had me thinking a little bit was that maybe some way they would kill Baby Yoda, but also that was only for like a split second. I didn't really think that they would probably kill him, but yeah, I'm glad that you enjoyed that ending quite a bit. That was one of the weaker parts for me a little bit because I thought it was a little bit weird that the Mandalorian would just, with this whole setup of wanting to leave the child there, would just forget about the fobs and how the fobs could easily just track down the child again. So you got a little bit more here, Barry. Hang on, let me go down a little bit more. I'd enjoy a Hans Zimmer soundtrack to new Star Wars content. Maybe Nobu Uematsu too. Hans Zimmer's amazing. I think that he might be consistently, like every score he does, he might be my favorite going right now. He just finds ways of making so many cool different tracks. Like, you know, people forget that he did The Lion King. People forget that he does like stuff like Pirates of the Caribbean. Of course, he does the Dark Knight trilogy. Inception's an amazing score that he's done. Interstellar's great score. Dunkirk, obviously, he works with Christopher Nolan rather often, and even like I believe that it's him or Junkie XL or some type of collaboration of two. They also came up with this Wonder Woman theme that's also so well loved, and I love that theme. It's one of my favorite newer age superhero themes that they have right now. So Nobu Uematsu, though, I'm not familiar with him. Hang on, let me actually do a little bit of a search and see who you're referring to over there, Barry. So Nobu. Let me get the spelling right as well here. Riveting content right now as I get this. Okay, Matsu, I think I got him here now. Okay, hang on. Filmography, let's see here. What has he done? He does a lot of video game stuff. Okay, I wish I played more video games because I probably know exactly who you were talking about then. Yeah, the Final Fantasy stuff. Yeah, a lot of video game stuff. Blue Dragon, the TV series. More video games. Okay, interesting. You know what, Barry? You know what you just done for me? I'm very curious just to find out what his stuff sounds like. So, after this episode is done, I'm gonna be Spotifying this guy, and I'm very curious to see what his stuff sounds like because I love scores so much. So the fact that you could bring me out maybe an unknown composer that I was not so familiar with. He does a lot of Final Fantasy stuff. Look at that. Yeah, I wish I was more of a Final Fantasy fan, and I would probably know that as well. Like for me, I was more of a Legend of Zelda guy than I was Final Fantasy, and I understand that those were fairly competing franchises at the time, but yeah, I've Final Fantasy is obviously a huge franchise. I'm very very interested to look up his Spotify playlist and hear some of his tracks because if he's that good, then yeah, I want to hear what he could bring, and especially what he could bring to Star Wars. Because yeah, for me, I mean, no one's ever going to touch John Williams when it comes to score for Star Wars, but Ludwig Göransson could almost steadily have that number 2 spot now. I'm loving his scores. He keeps finding new themes to bring into these episodes that I'm loving so much. And we weren't actually done here with you, Barry. Hang on. Let's see. Did you guys catch the 50s sci-fi Easter eggs? Creatures speaking Klatooinian. Yes, I did catch that as well. A little callback to the day the Earth stood still. Yeah, I did catch that. I was thinking, like, when I heard Klatooinian, it's like, where do I know that from? a little bit, and then I thought about it, and yeah, that's when I realized it. I was like, I had not seen that original in like a very long time. I've never seen the Keanu Reeves version. I heard it's terrible, so I'm keeping away from that one. But yeah, I did notice that as well. And last one here. I disagree with James on the lightsaber. Let's have one or two Luke or Jedi episodes as a nod wink to the original trilogy. World building at its finest. What did James say about a lightsaber in that in our recording? I'm trying to remember that part. So one or two Luke or Jedi episodes as a nod and wink to the with the lightsaber. Okay, I think that was my never tell me the odds as to whether a lightsaber should be turned on. I think in the final episodes. Yeah, I like the idea of this standing on its own, but it's okay if they include a lightsaber. And I think that if it is Ahsoka Tano or if it is Yoda, that saves the young Mandalorian. I think that's a natural way of them bringing in a lightsaber into it without it being too forced. So yeah, I agree with you there as well, Barry. I do think the lightsaber will be turned on the last final 4 episodes. I mean, that's the only chance that it wouldn't be is if they don't explore his backstories a whole lot more still, which I think is a slight possibility, but I do think that we're going to get the answer as to who saved him from that super battle droid there. So there we go. This episode is actually going longer than I intended it to, so hang on. If you're not with me, you're against me. That's what James said there at the bottom. I can't quite scroll down all the way down, but that was it there, guys. And that this is pretty much all the episode right now. However, I am still going to add on one little bit because one of our fans also, just give me a moment here, as one of our fans, if you submitted a Never Tell Me the Odds. So I'm actually going to do that here, and I believe that James and Brock are going to be doing their reaction to Never Tell Me the Odds as well here. So you guys can actually give us your own Never Tell Me the Odds on the Facebook page at Rebel Scum. And hang on 1 second, because unfortunately I am actually losing battery right now, which I should not be. Just give me a moment here as I fix this. You gotta love this live recording that I'm doing right now, right? No fillers here, so give me a moment. Let myself be reconnected here again. And then we will get to the Never Tell Me the Odds that one of our fans has very graciously supplied to us. And I'm very, very curious to respond to what he has posted here. So here we go. I will bring it on up here. Our Never Tell Me the Odds here is actually from Andy Higgins. And he says for Never Tell Me the Odds, he has 2 of them actually. He says, Mando goes to hide Baby Yoda with Nick Nolte. So I think he's speculating about how this whole Baby Yoda thing will be resolved by the end of it all. Nick Nolte might not be the very best of role models for it. I mean, he's a bit of a drunk and whatnot. Oh no, wait, you're not talking about actual Nick Nolte. You are talking about Quill the Ugnaught. I mean, it would be a very interesting person for him to leave it with. Obviously, Nick Nolte's character, Quill the Ugnaught, would be a very nice and secluded place for him to go. I mean, it's funny that it would they would actually leave the Baby Yoda, the child, on the same planet in which they actually found him from. It's kind of like a funny side by side with Anakin coming from Tatooine and then them hiding Luke on Tatooine as well. It's like everybody knows that Anakin came from Tatooine. Anakin, most of all, Darth Vader knows that he's from Tatooine. So why wouldn't that be one of the places he looks as well? I think it'd be funny if they actually did that same type of a thing actually as well here and left Baby Yoda on the same planet in which he was recovered from. I just think that'd be kind of funny. As for the actual odds, because I would go low, but because of how close it is to the whole Anakin and Luke part of it all, I'm gonna go 50-50. I'm gonna go full Brock here. Um, it seems like a good reason for them to bring Quill back would be to go back to his planet to drop off, Baby Yoda or something like that, right? Because obviously the Quill, the character, he wants to be very secluded. He wants to stay over there. He does not want to become a part of anything more than what he's already a part of. So, leaving Baby Yoda there would be a really natural reason to bring Quill back into the fight, or make him as a recurring guest star, because as of right now I just don't know why they would go back there. So yeah, I like the idea, and I'm going about 50-50, maybe about 51-49 in favor of him being left there. So that was good. Never tell me the odds for that first one there, Andy. And for your second one, you had here Mando gets his jetpack, or is it a jump pack in Star Wars? Yeah, I believe. Well, in the Battlefront games, I believe it is called a jump pack. So I believe you're right there. But it seems like Mandalorians actually might have jetpacks, because we saw them full on flying, obviously, at the end of that episode 3. So hang on, let me complete this. You said Mando gets his jetpack, or is it jump pack, before the end of the season. Interesting. So obviously at the end of that episode 3, chapter 3, he did also say, I gotta get me one of those, right? So you know that he's going to, they've already opened up to, like, they foreshadowed it, that he will probably be getting a jetpack at some point. Whether it will be by the end of this season, I am going to go on the lower end of this one. I think for him to get it at the end of the season, would mean, because I think as soon as he gets that jetpack, I feel like the Western theme of it all kind of diminishes a little bit. Because if he's flying around with the jetpack a little bit, it just does not speak as much Western as it is just him walking in the desert, right? Like, that's a big reason why that main poster that we see everywhere is just him walking in the desert, right? With the Razor Crest in the background. It just speaks Western to me. So I feel like when he gets that jetpack is kind of like the moment in which the show becomes a little bit less Western. So that's why I'm going to delay it. I'm going to say that he probably won't get a jetpack by the end of this season. I think it'll probably more like some point in season 2. Maybe that will be the season 2 finale in which he finally gets his jetpack. But for the main reason I feel like the jetpack could lessen the Western themes of it all, I'm going to say that he won't do it by the end of the first season. So on that end, I'm not going to completely throw it out, because they did foreshadow it, and that seems like something that they might foreshadow for the season finale. So I'm going to go 30% chance that he gets his jetpack by the end of this season. But I think more likely in season 2 is when he will get his jetpack. Excuse me there a moment. So there you go, guys. If you guys want to be just like Andy and supply Never Tell Me the Odds for us, then go to the Facebook page, Rebel Scum Podcast, and put your comments in the comments in the comments over there, and just say Never Tell Me the Odds, just like how he did right there, and put, if you have more than one, put it just like how he did there. So thank you very much, Andy, and I believe Brock and James will be actually answering that as well on the show this week as well. Whether you've already watched that show, then you know what their thoughts were on it, but this was my thoughts as to what I thought about that Never Tell Me the Odds. So thank you again, Andy, and you guys, you've supplied your comments. I had a ball answering them and talking about them here. And thank you so much. And for this upcoming episode, Mandalorian Scum, where we talk about Chapter 5 of The Mandalorian, watch the episode, comment below on that video of Mandalorian Scum Chapter 5, and let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of what The Mandalorian has been like so far, whether you liked it, whether you not liked it. I want to hear some more from you guys, like, of the stuff that you didn't like, because obviously this show's not perfect, and you know what, maybe less of it works for you than less of it works for you than doesn't work for you. Maybe you like and maybe you dislike more of it than you like from it. So I want to hear all opinions from you guys, and I hope to hear from you guys soon about that. As for the Rebel Scum podcast, you know about our Patreon. We've been plugging it. We got a lot of content coming for you guys. The Rise of Skywalker is coming. There's so many videos that are going to be coming straight at you guys. And so many great tiers. Just go and check it out. Patreon.com /Rebel Scum, Rebel Scumbags, or it's actually a good thing is to find it out. But if you just search at patreon.com Rebel Scum Podcast, I'm sure you will find it there that way. But aside from that, thank you so much, guys, for joining me for this Mandalorian preamble. This went a lot longer than I thought it was going to go to. So regardless, if you actually stayed for this entire thing, thank you for watching this, and let me know what you think about this upcoming episode, what you expect to see in the comment section of this video below. And aside from that, thank you guys, and we as a community for this episode have spoken.
Hey scumbags, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.